My name is Maria Pereda, and I'm a graduate of class of 2015. The next panel, it's very special to me. The reason why I'm really hyped up about this panel is because it has at its core one of the most important forces of change that we will witness in our lifetime, and that is technology. By technology, I mean any new and better ways of doing things, and this conversation is critical because in a world with scarce resources, globalization without new technology is unsustainable. The panel is called Venture Capital versus Founders, the Opportunities and Challenges of Emerging Tech Ecosystem. The panel will be moderated by Laura Gonzalez-Estefani, who is a general partner at a $100 million venture capital fund and founder and CEO of TheVentureCity, a tech company whose main mission is to accelerate emerging tech ecosystems. Laura has a long career in technology. In 2008, she was hired by Facebook as the first employee at Facebook at an international level to grow and expand the platform in Spain. And fun fact, Spain was the first country that Facebook expanded to outside of the US. She joined when Facebook had 50 million users, and she left last year when it had 2 billion. Last year, she left to start TheVentureCity to help entrepreneurs outside Silicon Valley to really build unicorns. And it's one ambitious mission, but she's the kind of person that whatever goal she sets to do, she accomplishes. And I don't say this because she's my boss, and full disclosure, I do work for TheVentureCity. But from TheVentureCity as well, we have Andy Areitio, who's a partner at the fund. Andy has experience in 3 different continents, working in consulting, as well as corporate finance in Shanghai. He's a 2-time founder and an MBA graduate of INSEAD, where he received a merit-based scholarship. Along with TheVentureCity, we have 2 of the top entrepreneurs in this country. Isaac, originally from Barcelona, has built in less than 5 years the #1 Spanish-speaking media company in social networks and one of the top 10 Facebook video publishers worldwide. Most of you may know Playground, but for those of you who don't know, it's a media company, online media company that shares news in a very creative way. Today, Playground has 27 million followers and 1.3 billion views every month. Lupina also enjoyed a very successful career in the financial sector, and a few years ago she decided to disrupt the financial sector, and she built her startup called Fintonic. She has very much disrupted the industry, as it now counts with 450,000 users with 850,000 bank accounts under its platform. It has operations in Spain, Chile, and Mexico, and soon to expand in other parts in Latin America. She has raised $25 million of venture-backed money and is now one of the top 10 financial institutions in Spain. Without further ado, please help me welcome Lupina, Andy, Isaac, and Laura.
Here after such a great lunch. I know that it's kind of hard to on a Friday afternoon in Madrid be here. So we will make it super fun, super disruptive and interactive. I think that we are going to have mics after in case anyone wants to raise any questions or interact with any of us. So it's my pleasure to be with these amazing dreamers today. I think that one of the most fascinating things that I've been able to experience myself, and that now with TheVentureCity we're doing, is identifying those unicorns outside of the classic tech hubs around the world and help them grow. And I think that with you guys here who are the present and the future of so many companies, the fact that you're going to hear these guys can be super interesting, fun, on a certain level, even contrast. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I want you all to raise your 2 hands, both of them. Raise them, shake them a little bit. Okay, lunch is over. Okay, good. And they were saying that I was not going to do this, and I was, of course, going to do this. And let me tell a little bit more about each of them, more in the personal way, because I'm a crazy believer in people over pixels, and I think that businesses are made by people, and if it's not because of the people, we wouldn't have businesses. So first, Andy, I met him when he was 8 years old. I was 14, I think, and he was scared looking at me. I've always had this voice. So he was kind of like, who's the crazy lady over there? And he's being a very passionate entrepreneur. He has no fears, I have to say. And he is traveling all around the world with a mission of really helping those entrepreneurs in tech that can do meaningful and impact things for those markets. Isaac, who's also a friend, we know each other from 2008?
Yeah, in 8, yeah, probably.
In 8? This guy has changed, he has a technological platform that really helps, and he said something to me once that really struck me, which was, I believe in viewership for citizenship. So he has a platform, a tech platform for change makers around the world. The company is based in Barcelona, but it's the #1 in Spanish speaking all over the world. So in Latin America, he's the first kind of like a more disruptive video platform with content and who knows what in the future. But he's also a very, very driven person, employs over 200 people.
180 more or less.
180 people in this country, and I guess that
Latin America, Barcelona, Madrid,
Yes. And you're going to enjoy listening to him because he has a very special way of thinking about the world today and the future. And Lupina, this is very interesting. I did meet her when? 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when you guys were starting. And I really wanted to invest in her company. For some reason, at the end, we couldn't make the deal, and I've been chasing her, but she has so many people wanting to invest in her company. But she's a very strong female leader in the community. In Spain, sadly, you don't see as many females, leading companies, especially in the financial industry. So she's a fighter, powerful woman. Well, you would love hearing what she's going to say. So she's a mother of 3, right? So imagine what a Friday afternoon looks for her. So I'm going to start with questions that I think are more. We're going to start first in more of the personal way of building the business and what are the things, the different obstacles that they have found and in which way we can help them out or some other entrepreneurs around the world. We're going to be super transparent, honest, and direct. So if there's people here in the financial industry or in the media industry or in the social industry and you don't like what we're going to say, we're very sorry. But we really believe that what we're doing is for a better world. So the first thing is, guys, when you started your businesses and you were first putting your own money and then there was a moment of, okay, I need to grow, but I can't, I need more money to make this happen. How was your experience in general, looking for money, venture capital, angel investing, family, friends, and pools? How was that for you guys? You can start.
Okay. So for me in Spain was quite difficult because I think in Spain there's not such an entrepreneurial culture to this country. And I had to travel to Latin America and I had to find Laura, that she's from Spain. So imagine the irony of the situation. And what I like from Laura, that she has been my first investor, is that she thinks of people. She truly thinks of people, not of numbers. That's very interesting. She has this like kind of magical instinct to everything that you do. So for me it was something more humane, not so strategic, because we kind of grew very fast at Playground without investment. We did it in a really small way and humble way. And until we really scaled it up is when we started to find money. And at that time, really being comfortable with our situation and not trying to survive in an urgent way is where we found someone like Laura that in a very proximate way we kind of made things happen. And right now we have expanded in Latin America. We are in 6 offices in Latin America in different countries, office in Madrid and Barcelona, and in the next future probably is going to be the US and Asia. So it's kind of fun.
Lupina?
Well, in my case, I'm really grateful for my VCs and my investors because they share our DNA. It's very important that they believe on the product, that they download the app and they believe we are going to change the financial services because we have this opportunity once in life, and they really believe it. But in Spain, it's not so easy to have that kind of investors, because we are not used to entrepreneurs, and what we are building in Fintonic, well, it's very, very disruptive, because we don't believe that the actual institutions are right now the factories, the ones that build the products, that they sell the products. And well, when you want to disrupt this kind of industry that is old-fashioned and is very powerful, well, you need to have really believers that they married with you and they think that Fintonic is their own baby, and I am happy about that right now.
And you know how financially driven is this country, that we have two of the best banks in the world, so it was especially hard for her to go into this and start this from scratch and get the ball rolling, as they say.
So in my experience, I found that there are two kinds of investors. Investors that they are deal focused, and investors that they are entrepreneur focused. So the second kind puts time in giving you some feedback and letting you learn why yes and why not they're going through the investment. So they understand that the success, failure thing is a dynamic thing. So they might pass on the investment, but they give you tools to learn and be a better entrepreneur. Obviously, you tend to like the second kind of investor.
Yeah. So I think that the relationship there, or at least what my co-founder and myself, Clara, we wanted to disrupt was the people feeling, you know, when you meet someone and you know, we have chemistry, we can work together, you know, or not. And I think there's the most essential piece in a relationship when you're working together with companies that are going to be changing the world is the people thing. And so we might not be the smartest, but we are terribly data-driven. If no data, no success. And we really try to, when we are looking at opportunities and founders, we say, okay, if there's a fire, which obviously there are going to be thousands of fires, would we be willing and can we work together and solve them all? So I think that new, and if there are future venture capitalists here, if there are, for those that are starting in the future, or for those that want to jump into this world right now, I think it's fascinating how much you can learn by working with them, more than we can learn from our previous experience.
It was very interesting because 2 months ago we had a big problem at the company, and I was ashamed to tell Laura about it. And suddenly I received an email, like out of the blue, saying from Laura, I kind of know that you're having a problem, but why don't you come and tell me? Don't be so frightened. No? I told her, and really it's interesting because for us, the way to grow a business is to grow in company. It's not about being examined or by other forces. No, it's building by company, and this was interesting. Yeah.
And sometimes when you guys hear, oh, these guys, you know, invested in early days of Airbnb or Facebook or Uber, etc., the DNA of that relationship was pure people chemistry. So it's not about how much money your pocket holds. It's about how much brain power and emotional support you can give. I mean, raising a fund is as complex as raising you for your startup. So we really identify that moment where we both are sometimes. And so by working together and being honest and vulnerable even, you know, builds that strength. And when you have that relationship, that's when round after round we get to that level. So
yeah, something I want to mention is that maybe from the time you guys raised the last round, things are changing fast in the sense that money in the early stages is flowing in a way that was not doing before. Money from the US is investing in ecosystems far away from the US, emerging tech hubs like Lisbon or Barcelona, and people sitting in San Francisco are literally Skyping into startups and signing checks. So that is very good news for the entrepreneurs worldwide.
The most important thing is, of course, is not the money. No? Like in our board is the former CEO of BBVA, Santander, and ING, and they believe on that. Like they believe something has to change. And when you have someone that is working with you, calls you like once a month, and then it comes to the board, and it's really implied helping you. And I really believe they have invested on us, for example, because we were humble. We told them, we want to do this, but of course there is a huge goal where we have to go, but we have these threats, and they saw, okay, they know what they're talking. They're not like maybe when you go to America, you say you can do that, you can do everything, and everything in a PowerPoint is done, and everyone believes that. Here we are in Spain, for example, much more humble. We don't sell ourselves that way, but if you see your background, what you have done in the past, and you have these people on board, then you see, come on, they're
Going to help you.
they're gonna help you.
So that is very important. That is very interesting because the talent is a key piece of the whole thing. And I have personally worked I'm fascinated with what's going on in Bogota. I don't know, in Bogota and Medellin, I don't know if there's Colombians here, but I truly believe that there's someone down there. More here, woo, go Colombia. Because these emerging tech hubs don't have the same resources or the same maturity as places like Tel Aviv or New York or Silicon Valley, but the ideas and the orientation of the user and the customer that those guys are doing on the products that they're building, as Andy was saying, is now cheaper than ever thanks to software to really build amazing products. These guys are doing things that I have never seen before, and in fact in Silicon Valley, most of the financial people are from Colombia. I don't know what the hell is going on there, but you drink some kind of water that is very interesting, so you have to go to Colombia because there's definitely something there. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that we're not looking for entrepreneurs that are replacing Silicon Valley, no. Silicon Valley has its own personality. We're looking for the local flavor of those entrepreneurs that are going to be building companies from those countries to all over the world, keeping the personality, the essence from those countries. That's what we're looking for, and I think that the world is going in that way. So talking about talent and these type of people, you have offices all over Latin America and Spain, etc. You have offices in Spain, Chile, and Mexico. So how do you see in both worlds, both fascinating worlds, people in one place to the other solving issues, etc.?
Well, we have the main people here in Madrid because we really scale really fast. In 8 weeks, we can be in each country. For a finance service, it's complicated because we have to aggregate all the banks. We have to give them their credit score to the users. So you have some problems to solve, but it's really fast to scale. And of course, in every country, we have the country manager from that country. In the case, for example, for Chile, he has worked in Santander. He was in Europe many years. So we have more or less the same way of working. And he's the one who's in charge of hiring the people over there. Of course, on the ultimate stage, I have to interview them, but he's really brilliant, and I think if he wasn't because of him, we couldn't launch in a country because you cannot go there and say, hello, I am Lupina, I am from Spain. The people from Chile want a Chilean person to talk and to represent it. Yes, the same happened in Mexico. We need people from there.
And the engineering level, the talent you find there is top-notch.
It's top, it's great. Lots of people from Venezuela are in our engineer team, and they are really brilliant, yes.
At Playground, we don't see many differences, really. I mean, I think our median age at Playground, the workforce that we have is around 27 years old. So it's a generation, the millennials, that really are post-geographic in the sense that they live in the internet. They don't live in Spain or they don't live in Colombia. They really are post-geographic. So we truly see the same spirit in Colombia, for example, or in Madrid or in Mexico. No? It's the same, I think it's the same way of dreaming, no? Of creating a company that really creates value to others, no? A service that really is valuable. And I see it everywhere. So I think it goes that way.
And that diversity when you have it at work, exactly. It's amazing. Exactly. Having people from different parts of the world, cultures, faiths. It's absolutely amazing.
They're all passionate. They are in my company. They are also under 30 years old, all of them, and it's incredible because they believe they're going to change the world. I believe it, but it's great that they do believe it. Choose, because the other day I told them, if you don't believe we are going to change the world, if you don't believe that finance could be done very easy and more transparent way, just leave it. They all stay, well, 2 left the following week, but only 2, no? They all stay with us. They all think that we are going to do something great, that we are going to help lots of people, and they're going to help their parents to manage better the money and everything. So it's great to have that kind of people on board.
It's very important when you look for talent, to look for talent. I mean, do not look for really specialized people. You can find specialized people, but really look for people that really are outside of the box and that truly are raw talent. At Playground, we have journalists, we have poets, we have scientists, we have people that come from pure business, we have mathematicians. Really, that's fabulous, no? When that happens.
The attitude, not
Exactly.
the
Yes.
taking the risk
It's a matter
of
of
doing
attitude, for
something.
sure.
Yes.
They need to believe in your mission, right? That's the...
Exactly.
So that was one of the things that we were talking just before joining, like building something with purpose. And it may sound very romantic, but I think that sometimes when you are on a mission and you are getting people that is in your mission and you are believing and working every day to do something that is going to change or disrupt an industry or change people's lives. You know, fintech for me is fascinating. What you're doing is with the global change, makers of the world, that educational piece. That's very special. So, so if you guys have people around with big dreams, with, support them, and the talent is universal, as you were saying. It's not in Silicon Valley, it's not in New York, it's not in Tel Aviv only. It's all over the place. We just need to make sure that they access all the opportunities. But there's one thing that is a common, I would say, one of the things where we are very behind outside of these hubs, and it's when we talk about taking risks, making mistakes. What's the policy? What's the feeling? How do you guys?
We celebrate when we fail, and we have a big bell in our company, so we have to ring it when we succeed and when we fail also. The other day we didn't succeed in our KPIs from that month, and we went outside to have lunch and to say, okay, what we have done, don't worry, because we have learned from this, and everyone is that way. Here, the people believe in the crowd, believe that if they don't know to do something, they can go outside and ask for it, and that's great because that scales really fast and it's exponential. If you don't know how to launch a functionality or to do just a little small task, just go and ask. But to the world, not ask in our company, to the world. And there is someone over there that knows how to do it, and you pay it, and that's the way we work. You fail, don't worry, someone else knows how to do it.
The thing is, nowadays, especially with new technologies, you can have or pure success or pure failure. I mean, in the same week. It happens continuously. It's a truly creative and destructive force. So, I mean, you're pushed the whole time to reinvent yourself. And it's not a matter of having fun, being creative. It's a matter of really surviving. And it's something that really we connect. All the team is really aligned with this. No? It's a matter of quality, but especially at the same time to scale very quick is very important, because if you don't do it, you can die tomorrow. So we enjoy creativity, but it's more a matter of survival, and it's a matter of urgency. So we are pushed
to do it. Really pushed. We have to go really fast, and we have to launch different things. Our technology is the most default technology, such as Airbnb or Spotify, because you cannot stop, never stop. You have to keep on learning and doing things, and that's the way the entrepreneur lives.
But the good thing you were talking about, Laura, before is about purpose, about mission. No? I mean, you can have a company that reinvents itself, but the mission really doesn't reinvent itself. It's the same. No? And I think when you're an entrepreneur and you have a team that are really aligned with the mission, for example, at Playground, I believe that the people are more connected to the mission nowadays than even me. They can even lecture me. I can die today, that the mission would survive. I truly believe that.
That's amazing.
I truly believe that.
That's
so
amazing.
That's really the success. I mean, the business changes, but the purpose doesn't change.
One of the most important success factors of the tech companies in the last 10 years, I would say, is the ability to experiment. And when we look at companies to invest in, we look at how fast they experiment, because things change so fast that you either experiment or you're out of the business. So that ability to experiment has to be comfortable with failure. Otherwise, there's no experiment, right? So I think that experimental thing has to be on the DNA of the founders and the company and the mission, right?
So one of the things that we're seeing that's, to me, it's super interesting is how traditional industries like agriculture are being disrupted. I'm fascinated by everything that we're seeing there. And a lot of people is kind of like, agri-tech? Is it really agri-tech? And I'm kind of like, yeah, I mean, we need to feed these people, right? There's so many different things. And so when we talk about technology, we tend to think about super sophisticated devices and things, but technology is disrupting everything we know. And so the sooner and the better, the sooner that we tap into it and we understand what's happening, and the better surrounded we are by people that understands that, the better your business is going to survive or is going to, be disrupted. So for me, if you guys, as we were saying, you have been failing and succeeding very fast lately, because there's organizations that are huge and it's impossible to really cope with all those things that are happening. What has been your key learning there when you say, okay, so I see a crisis coming, how do you get ready, how do you go through it, and how do you analyze it afterwards?
We have to be ahead what's coming, and we have to be all the time learning, as I said, what's going on in the whole world, Australia, United States, in which part of the cycle, economic cycle we are, for finance, of course. But, for example, we are not I never say that we are a finance company. We are not a bank, and we don't want to be. We're a big data company. That happens that we are in the finance system and in the insurance system and also in the energy system, because what we want to do is to be a layer on top of the banks, on top of the insurance, on top of the different companies, so we can give the best info to our clients. So you have to see what's going on everywhere, all the time. And it's really hard, because you have to study a lot. You're not going to have holidays and your whole life again, because you are all the time connected and having calls and understanding what's going on. But it's really amazing to be there, because it's a passion. No? I love finance from all my life, but not that I am aligned with the user, that really I am solving needs, that the people talk and tell me, Lupina, you have helped me with this, or I got divorced and you helped me with that, with my finance. Say, wow, we're helping the people, and that's what makes us go on and keep on studying and keep on doing things.
You've mentioned data-driven. How many of you are working in companies that are looking at the data to take decisions? Raise your hands. Only one, two? Okay. Because most of the stuff that we learned at Facebook from data is from learnings of the traditional businesses. For me, traditional businesses are those that traditionally have been doing well their business. Let's never forget that Google is 20 years, Facebook is 14, so they need to really become a 50-year-old, 100-year-old business, and there's a lot of businesses out there that already made that mark. So for me, that data-driven point is super interesting. How do you guys look at data?
It's continuously. A data stream is like, we work with data the whole time. We have screens all over the office, and it's part of our work, daily work. But I would like to pinpoint something, because we talk nowadays about technology revolution, but really, since the dawn of man, we have been working with technology. Really, technology hasn't been invented nowadays. I think that's a misunderstanding, and people who are not in the digital sphere, they feel kind of like in a low level, but we are all working with technology. The thing is that has changed nowadays is that in a global world, there's many more opportunities to success and also to fail, and we have to move fast. we really are living not in a technological revolution, but in a fast revolution, in a creative revolution. So I would like to, yeah.
Andy, data? What do you do with data? All the time playing with data?
I think so. We look at patterns. Basically, when we look at companies, we look at patterns. We look at patterns of successful companies, pattern of non-successful companies, and then each dot is a company. So it's a way of making sense of all the whole industry in a way, right? And everything is connected. So you realize that talent coming out from this university tends to start companies in this field, and then these investors tend to support this kind of entrepreneurs, which tend to sell their software in these other countries. So everything is connected. So when you plot all the data and you visualize it, then like you connect the dots, and then the whole industry is more transparent, I think.
So that's so one of there's the startup genome study that just came out last month. No, if you guys are interested in understanding what's the status of the world in terms of startups and what's happening, super interesting, because one of the things that they say is that all these hubs that have been under the radar, Sydney, Colombia, Medellin, Mexico City, different places, Toronto, around the world, are the ones that are kind of like super supported by the universities, the local government, etc. And if we do not support that locally, they will never become global. So I think that one of the main things, if you guys are excited about implementing certain tech culture, way of working, or tech methodologies or disruption in the companies, is really looking at things that you guys have already close and try to learn from them, and have that diversity of people that is thinking in a different way and people that traditionally has been doing that way. And the last piece and the last thing is the core values. I think is the most important. This is what I wanted to leave you guys with. So we've talked about passion and mission and talent and support from all the kinds. But what are the core values? I think when you guys were thinking about building your businesses, what are the core values? Did you think about core values in the company?
Yes, of course. Well, in my company, I believe in all the companies, because your mission has to be aligned with your values, no? The transparency, to be honest with yourself, with your users. The user is the first thing. We have like ears like elephants, so we are all the time hearing our users and trying to understand their needs. That's our core value, no? To be transparent, to be true to ourselves.
We see ourselves as a platform for new ideas, new sensibilities, and new forms of social impact. And I think it's a core of values that our team, they know, since day one, they're truly aligned with it, and we don't have to continuously explain to them. I mean, it's not something that we have to be like in a coach mode to try and convince someone. Really, people are into it in our company. So it's really easy for us in that sense, because they're real.
I would say that the values of the founder turns to be the culture of the company. And the reason number one why companies fail to scale up is because the culture is doomed. So that is the key, the values of the founders and the people who believe in those values, and they're eager to follow the path, because it's a known path. So when the time comes to scale, if there's no culture around values, then the company is doomed.
So just to finish, for those students that are thinking about building their own company, what would be 3 things that you would share quickly?
I would say organization for me is the most important thing. It's not idea. You don't have to be Einstein. You don't have to be very clever. You have to be really well organized. For me, I think you have to be passionate about what you're doing, of course, but that's what the bullshit that everyone says, but that's true. No, you have to be passionate. If not, you're not going to succeed. But also, you have to be really well organized and implement things on time, because if you're not going to do that, it's going to be impossible.
I would say something that not many people say, but I would say fear management. I mean, it's so difficult to build a company. It's so difficult, and you have so many chances to fail with a company that you have to manage these expectations. Yeah, exactly. So I would say fear management. Yeah.
I would say find the balance between being stubborn and you know, to follow your idea without listening to what other people say, and at the same time realize that you need to continually experiment and learn from others what is the right path.
Thank you, guys. Not sure if you guys have any questions or... Any questions? You guys can do a hard question. So anything you wanted to ask any of these amazing leaders? Don't be shy. I think it's too late for a Friday. You have a question?
Yeah, for both of them, where do you see your company 5, 10 years from now?
I mean, nowadays we talk about scalability and growth, and we see ourselves more in a positive growth. I mean, I think we have grown a lot, but right now we're trying to give this growth a more positive layer, a more valuable layer, and I think is to create initiatives that go into positivity, to give our users, our community out there, much more value. So to scale that value, not in number, value.
Okay.
I believe that we are going to be a huge marketplace, where the banks are going to be providers for products. They're not going to be the factory never again. They're going to be just providers, and they will go through all marketplaces such as Fintonic, because this is the best for the client. They cannot be...
User experience. Yeah.
Yes, the user experience is going to be really, really important. So I think we are going to grow big, and we are going to implement a new way of doing things.
Any other questions? Oh, there's one there. Hi.
Thank you all for your talk and for being here. So I have a question. Oh, perfect. Thanks. I have a question about this notion of technology taking over people's jobs. And Lara, I was struck by your comment of people over pixels. Great comment. And so right now there's definitely a big debate in AI and automation and it taking jobs from people. And I hear some talking about, well, no, technology augments people's work, but how long will it just remain augmentation? And I'd love to hear how you're thinking about that and what you see in the future.
So I think that technology is here to make our lives better. But again, like every single thing, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, sometimes you take the most out of it, sometimes you take too much out of it. So mistakes are allowed, but in general, the mindset of, hey, I want to use the technology, and the regulators and everyone needs to think whatever makes the people's lives better. Now, talking about artificial intelligence, so I believe that in the Industrial Revolution, the previous one, because I think that we're now suffering the actual technological Industrial Revolution, a lot of people were scared that people were going to be running out of jobs, and actually data says that there were so many jobs created. So what I feel with AI is that jobs are not going to disappear. I think that jobs are going to be transformed. And the way we were doing certain processes and things before are not the way that we're going to be doing processes and things in the future. On the other side, the world is not qualified for the jobs that we are going to need in the future. And as universities or university fans, we need to support the universities and the alternative to the universities so that there are enough data scientists out there. There are enough coders out there. There are enough experts in tech out there that are not yet today. So if I look at my career, and I've been a terrible student myself, and I tell you how many times around my career, I have had to reinvent myself, more than 15. And I guess that right now with what's coming, we need to be honest with society, with how the world is looking, and let's think about, okay, in which ways I can take advantage of technology so that I can do my job more efficient, and in which other ways creativity, which is something that a lot of people is not using because their jobs, don't require that today, but once machines start doing the executional piece of it, maybe we can be more creative and more social. I don't know. I'm terribly optimistic. I've always been. So I really believe that at the end of the day, we will take the right decisions. We will make huge mistakes for sure, but at the end, I think that work will be more fun, definitely more fun, but we will need to put something from our side as well. Not sure if you guys want
On that note, sorry, we gotta let these people go. We can finish these questions, this Q&A afterwards. Please thank you, our panel, very much. You guys have been amazing. Thank you. We gotta let you guys get some rest because we have an amazing evening planned for you guys at Fortuny. Please, and by the way, a little side note, today's my birthday, so the last bus does leave at 11:15, but I expect you all there until 5 a.m. But you have to be here tomorrow. Please don't forget to pass by the Centennial booth and leave a good memory of your time at Babson. It's gonna be real special if they can really get a lot of us in there and have a nice collage of our videos. So it's right underneath the stairwell at the end. There is buses leaving from here to the restaurant this evening. The Intercontinental is walking distance, and there's free valet parking. And nothing. Look forward to seeing everybody this evening. Thank you for an amazing, amazing day.